Welcome, gentlemen. Um, cool. Yeah, we could get started. So excited that we could co-announce our partnership this morning. So Tenderly is now live on ZetaChain, and I want to get on the record um, a bit more about the partnership and share what this means for developers. So we have Nenad Vidorovic on the line, Dev Relations at Tenderly, and Dennis Vadiv, Developer Experience at ZetaChain. Welcome, guys. Thanks for joining.
My pleasure.
Cool. So to start, would love a quick intro on yourself and how you guys both got into the crypto industry. Ninad, maybe you want to kick off?
Yeah, sure. So I like to say I used to be a software engineer. So I used to build a lot of stuff and touch a lot of tech. And at some point, a couple of years ago, of course, I got interested in Web3 and mostly on the engineering side of thing and everything that the whole premise of blockchain with decentralization. Um, and then an opportunity came along where I could do some teaching and writing and all that comes with DevRel. So basically education. So it was like a perfect match of those things. But yeah, so I'm coming from the interest in technology and what it entails.
Excellent. Love it. And you, Dennis?
Yeah, I've been building tools for developers in the blockchain space since about 2020. For the past year and a half, I've been contributing to ZetaChain, also building tools, building tutorials, documentation, doing DevRel, essentially making it easier for developers to start building universal apps on ZetaChain.
Awesome. Yeah, super useful skill set you both have. And so ZetaChain and Tenderly are now collaborating to grow the first universal blockchain that is ZetaChain. And what's the problem that we're trying to solve with this partnership for developers? Dennis, maybe you want to start. What is the value prop to build on ZetaChain and Tenderly's role in helping support development?
Yeah, so what ZetaChain provides is a platform for developers to build universal apps. And by universal app, I mean an app that you build, deploy once to ZetaChain, and then users from any connected chain like Ethereum, BNB, Bitcoin, Polygon, and other chains we connect in the future, they can all interact with the same application on ZetaChain. So they can send tokens, they can make contract calls, they can withdraw tokens back to their origin chain. So it's all very seamless and easy to build from developers' point of view because it's all in a single contract. So compare that to messaging where you have a bunch of different contracts on different chains and you use messages to send data and value between them. With ZetaChain, we're implementing this hub and spoke model where there is a hub of ZetaChain and there are different spokes connecting all the blockchains. So it's a much more scalable architecture. So that's super important, right? You need the protocol to support these sort of things. But at the same time, it's not just about the protocol, right? Like you can have the best protocol in the world, but if you don't have the tools that help you build your dApp, it's going to be very slow and painful process, and we don't want that. That's why we're working with partners like Tenderly to bring the best tooling for developers to use. And I mean, I'm talking with developers on a daily basis, of course, and I've been getting so many requests from developers for a tool like Tenderly, because what Tenderly does essentially is streamlines the debugging process, which speeds up development considerably. And that's what developers really want. So yeah, I'm very happy about this partnership because now I can say, yeah, Tenderly supports ZetaChain, so you can take your contract, plug it into Tenderly, and see all the debug information, see the traces, everything, help you build faster.
Cool. And then maybe you could share some more color on the integration and what's available to developers today. And I think there's some other stuff coming with supporting ZetaChain's cross-chain functionality down the road.
Yeah, exactly. So let me just um, come back to one point that Dennis made about seamless and single contract feature that ZetaChain brings to developers. We're doing something similar, but on the developer tooling side of things. So we actually believe that the future in Web3 space is multi-chain, but that the tooling and dev environments and workflows are rather they're universal rather than fragmented and scattered out. So this is sort of what we do. This is actually how we see the whole thing and the whole problem. So having everything available in one place in a single set of tools and infrastructure. And what we're doing is focusing on the entire development process for builders. So as Dennis mentioned, there's a debugger with a very rich decoded transaction traces and stuff like that. There's this second component, which is more related to security and monitoring. So after your stuff is available on mainnets, and also there's the Node RPC. Now, what is coming in the future regarding ZetaChain is the Node RPC and the further support for the further support of the contracts that will be available on ZetaChain's mainnet. One important aspect that I would like to bring up here are virtual testnets that are really the infrastructure for builders and for teams. So again, the whole focus is not only on individual devs but also on teams that are building dApps. So it's all about, let's say, integration in a way.
Thanks. Yeah, and on that point about virtual test nets, maybe for Dennis, we recently released a new local net environment and a DevNet environment. Are there synergies with what Tenderly is providing, or are these future opportunities?
Yeah,
Or totally different?
I think that having these different environments is actually useful for like different stages of development, right? So, for example, when you're just starting, you don't necessarily even need to interact with actual test nets because, like, in case of like Bitcoin, you need to somehow get testnet tokens on Bitcoin. That might be a challenge. And the most important part is the wait time, right? So we want the testnet to be close to mainnet, and the number of confirmations, for example, that we require actually kind of correlates. Not exactly the same, but it's pretty close to mainnet. So you have to wait for like 5 minutes for a transaction to go from one chain to another, which is not bad, but of course, if you can make this process even faster, this feedback loop that you have, make it shorter, then it's just better, right? So can't really do that with actual testnets. So we have this local net environment that we're building. It's already available. We're going to make it easier for developers to use, and we have DevelopNet, which is useful for not necessarily for developers who are building for ZetaChain mainnet, rather for partners who want to integrate with ZetaChain, for example, and there's a feature in development that they need and they can, I think it's not yet on testnet, so they can use that on developnet. So yeah, what Tenderly offers, from what I understand, is like one more environment that developers can use, which is always great because you have different needs at different stages of your development process. So yeah, I think those, long story short, I think these environments are complementary to each other.
Cool. So Ninad, you spoke a little bit about what drove this partnership here, and it sounds like you and the Tenderly team also believe that we need better standards for interoperability, and there's alignment around these universal app architectures. I was curious what you're hearing from your users and developers around how they approach multi-chain today, like where are the pain points? Are they using solutions like cross-chain messaging? Is there like a common standard in your opinion right now, or is this sort of like a blue ocean opportunity?
Yeah, so from what I've personally heard after talking to several DApp teams, it's pretty much blue ocean type of situation where everybody's, sort of excited to solve those problems without too many good standards set in place. There are a few things that are really helpful, but I think that this is like an area that uh, has a lot of potential for advancing and for solidifying the approach. But what I could sense is, yes, on the one hand, there's a time pressure of moving fast and building things, and on the other side, uh, the engineers like to spend time sometimes on those kinds of problems. So I do believe that we do need better standardization, and we do need like off-the-shelf approach to solving the coordination between those multiple chains.
Yeah, and Dennis, I know you hear from developers. It's a big pain point having to deploy your contracts in multiple places and manage all of that. So that's what has driven ZetaChain to offer the omni-chain smart contracts. A question for both of you. Like I'm not a developer, but I understand there are lots of languages and of course different blockchains to build on. What do you guys think about the future of EVM and Solidity adoption among developers in a world where there's like so many options and innovation in programming languages? Like EVM here to stay? What do you think about the future?
Yeah, so I could take this. I could take a stab at this. So I mean, I like sometimes to most of the time to just check the data, and according to Electric Capital report, the majority of Web3 devs is grouped around EVM ecosystem for various reasons. It's decentralization, it's security, it's infrastructure and tooling, it's the maturity that the ecosystem is coming to. And when I say majority of 30 devs, the report states, I think over 80%, something around the number 80, relies on EVM. So for me, it looks like a steady and solid trend when it comes to EVM at Solidity, and seeing all the different takes and different efforts to make the ecosystem easier for teams to build and test and deploy the apps. I think this sort of makes it more solid when it comes to further adoption and further innovation in the space. So this is like my 2 cents.
Yeah, good data. Um, and yeah, Dennis, what do you think? Like, ZetaChain's providing an EVM smart contract layer and gives you access to chains like Bitcoin, and eventually you can trigger smart contracts on other chains like Solana and stuff. But is there a world where ZetaChain supports other native programming languages like COSM, WASM, and how should the ecosystem think through those types of like new modules?
ZetaChain offers EVM environment just because it's the most popular choice, right? So there are more EVM Solidity developers than any other developers out there in blockchain. So it's just natural for ZetaChain to offer this environment. But at the same time, I don't think that EVM or Solidity is going to be like the only option. I mean, it never has been the only option, but I think other environments are going to be just as popular. So what ZetaChain will offer in the future is, I mean, I don't know. I'm sure we're going to stick to EVM, but what the ZetaChain role in this is that no matter what language the counterparty chain supports, you're still going to implement your app in Solidity if that's what you prefer, right? So for example, if we connect Solana, which is not an EVM chain, you're still going to be implementing your app in Solidity, which for most developers is a preferred option, right? Like they don't necessarily want to learn Rust to build for Solana, but they still want to capture this audience, right? Because it's one of the most popular blockchains out there. So I think this flexibility of being able to use the tools that you like, but at the same time be connected and kind of exposed to the audience of any blockchain is really powerful. So kind of abstracting away the environment on which the counterparty chain is operating, I think is very convenient for developers. And it also makes it easier for developers to migrate their contracts from other EVM chains, right? To ZetaChain, make a few tweaks, and make it a universal app with just a handful of changes.
Thanks. By the way, if you guys have questions, feel free to comment in the Twitter thread here. I see some familiar faces, and Coxie, it looks like you also work on dev relations, so we can try to take a question or two at the end. Another question for Ninad, just like what it's like playing in this space of Web3 infra and where Tenderly is trying to focus its efforts, and like what are you guys trying to do best in this space to differentiate yourself?
Yeah, this is a fun question actually. So what's it like? It's both thrilling and challenging. And what we're trying to do best. So, I mean, as I said, our goal is to make developers' lives easier and making teams work in an easier way. And we do that by building tools and infrastructure, everything that's supporting teams, from developing a prototype to deploying to production and monitoring the thing after it's live. So with all that said, what we're focusing on now is virtual testnets that are like the key development infrastructure for teams. And I don't want to go too deeply about them. I could talk for for an hour for sure. But essentially, it enables better team collaboration, even with teams that are really siloed. Then they enable faster building, faster testing. They even enable DApp staging, and many more things. So we're right now zooming in on the problems that builders teams have, and trying to figure out how to alleviate those with our tech.
Very cool. Thank you. And yeah, Dennis, as you think about the current state of the ecosystem and dev tooling, uh, Alchemy came on board, Tenderly, Ledger native support is coming out soon. Uh, like, are there any key gaps at this point? Maybe Chainlink, which should come eventually, but uh, yeah, uh, yeah, what do you think about the current state of dev tooling at ZetaChain?
I think at this point we're covered on most of the fronts, right? Like we have Oracle's tools for debugging, like Tenderly. We have um, uh, uh, querying, right? Data that you can query with GraphQL, for example. Um, a bunch of RPC providers that you can choose from. I think I'm really looking forward to better NFT indexing. So we had a conversation with Alchemy recently, and this is something they're going to be bringing later this year, which is super cool. I think a lot of apps will benefit from that. You can already index NFTs with other services, but a dedicated solution for this is definitely going to be very helpful for developers. Other than that, just having more options really would be great because most often developers rely on specific tools, and for them to switch to a different data querying mechanism involves additional time and potentially auditing. When you have all the tools, then it's so much easier for developers to migrate. So of course, having Tenderly on board makes it easier for us to bring more developers on board, because they know that the tools that they already are using on Ethereum are just going to be available on ZetaChain out of the box.
Nice. Yeah. It's very exciting. We're just 6 months into ZetaChain mainnet, and the killer universal apps will come. And I think we're going to see a wave of developers building with this new omni-chain smart contract architecture, and the foundation is there. And Tenderly now is in that stack. So we're in a great position to scale up dApps in the ecosystem. So Ninad, when it comes to like contributing to Tenderly's platform, collaborating on new features, how do you guys think about capturing feedback and iterating on your technology?
Yes, so when it comes to that, we just love community feedback, and we love working closely with dApp teams, with builders. For a matter of fact, we have a lot of Slack and Telegram channels with dApp teams, where we usually gather around a problem, something that they're trying to achieve, and not sure how it fits, or there are some issues in integration, and we solve that. And throughout those conversations, what usually happens is teams actually say, hey, I would like to do this and that in this way. Can that be possible? And then what happens, our product people, they just get really excited about it, write a spec, and it sort of keeps on rolling from there. So essentially, any sort of feedback is very welcome, either through intercom that we have all over the place in the docs, on the platform, on the website, where people can get help from our super responsive support team. And then further on, if there's a need for more intensive sort of collaboration, then we can make a group chat, including devs from Tenderly, including myself or other DevRels, and product people. So it's a very, very, let's say, intimate collaboration with dApp builders from our side.
Love it. Thank you. Yeah, on the ZetaChain side, everything's open source, so you guys can make proposals and contributions, and even if you're not a developer per se, like do research into what chains ZetaChain should connect to and share data and stuff. And Dennis, I think there's a new tech ambassador application that might have just gone live. Any update on that and that program?
Yeah, we're now looking for tech ambassadors to contribute to ZetaChain protocol, right? You can build help us build tools, write documentation, um, also contribute to the protocol directly. So that's kind of one area. But we're also opening this program to tech ambassadors who will be helping node operators to validate on ZetaChain or to spin up nodes. So that's less of a code contribution kind of role, more on the DevOps support type of thing. So if you're good at running nodes and helping other people run nodes, then fill out the form and we'll get back to you. We're really looking to scale this program because it allows anyone. It doesn't matter if you want to contribute code or write docs or record a screencast to contribute to ZetaChain, get experience, and yeah, just help build a better protocol with us.
Yeah, great ways to position yourself to do this kind of work and develop in the space. And I'm curious, like last question here, if you guys have any other advice about getting into the dev experience, dev relations space within crypto and being an entrepreneur in Web3 today. Like any advice for aspiring entrepreneurs?
Yeah, so essentially practice, practice, practice. I mean, get your hands dirty with building stuff, figure out what piques your interest, and poke around. There's a lot of areas in the space that are very, very open for any sort of contribution. And that's one thing. And the other thing, of course, is take part in communities, take part in hackathons. Just meet people, and it's. I think it's a collective sort of journey that works best here when it comes to entering the dev space or DevRel space. And I think pretty much the same thing applies to entrepreneurs. Just there's a lot of opportunities to innovate. Uh, I believe it's just a matter of picking the right one and really going at it.
Yeah, my advice would be to developers specifically. I recommend just take some time, find an issue that you can contribute to, you can fix, right? And create a PR. Sometimes it requires only like a few hours, right? You can take a small issue and just contribute to a project. I think like there's nothing more valuable than this when you see someone out of the blue just taking an issue, working a few hours. Like this is the best type of kind of positioning yourself, right? Like you automatically um, become valuable to this project, right? Because you contributed your time. So it's a very short path to becoming a tech ambassador, for example. So every time I see these contributions, it's awesome. Me myself, I before joining ZetaChain, I took some time just to contribute to different projects in the space, just because I think it's fun. It doesn't take that much time if you pick a small issue. And another advice, I mean, just participate in hackathons, read the docs, build something crazy new, experimental, and submit it at a hackathon. Like we have Wave Hack Hackathon going on right now until August 17th, the last wave. So you still have the time to build something, submit it, receive a reward for your time, and possibly build something new and cool that you can continue working on later through a grants program or on your own, depending what you prefer. So yeah, a lot of opportunities.
Yeah, awesome way to build your resume, and same on the community and more like business side where I come from. Like you just run monthly spaces in a community independently, build an audience, and then you can go to a project and contribute in a more formal way. Every little thing adds up. So yeah, guys, thanks so much for joining. Tenderly is now live on ZetaChain, so you can start building with the Tenderly platform. And yeah, we're excited to keep collaborating and making things better and easier to build in crypto for all chains. So very excited for the collaboration. And that's it. Ninad, thanks for joining. Dennis, thanks again. And we'll be back with more updates. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Cheers. Bye. Bye, everyone.